Joining me on the program right now, he is a member of the House Homeland Security Committee, Representative Brad Knott, North Carolina 13. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Andrew. I hope you are.
I threw this out here because we're being told now by the likes of Senator Mark Kelly that strikes on alleged drug boats that are not fishing boats, they're clearly racing boats that we could see the big blue barrel containers on them, is now considered a war crime, even though Obama asserted that he had the right to basically hit anyone he wanted with a drone, and it turned out he killed lots of civilians, and no one called him a war criminal.
Right. Well, this is the same senator who had no issues with Barack Obama. He actually droned an American citizen, Andrew. I don't know if you remember that. He's
Anwar al-Awlaki and his 16-year-old son Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki.
He's the only president to do that. There was no protest from Senator Kelly. Senator Kelly released a very, very troubling video where he was arguing to basically implore the military to follow the Constitution and to follow the law. But he is, at the same time, a stern advocate for sanctuary cities and all of the resistance that we see for illegal immigration. The Democrats have just lost their mind on every level here, and if the president is involved, they protest it. They complain about it. And some of his Democratic colleagues, and even in the House of Representatives, have said that these foreign nationals, these terrorists, deserve a trial by jury here in the United States before they can be punished. It's just outrageous. I mean, when you look at the last 25 years, Andrew, more Americans have died from drugs than the entire nation's history of military conflict. And it's time that we realize the threat that these cartels pose, that the drug trade poses to the country, and we respond accordingly, and that's what the president is doing. So I don't take Mark Kelly seriously with these resistance efforts.
I'm looking here at an NBC News piece. Michael Isikoff, not exactly a friend to conservatives. Yemeni's drone strike turned wedding into funeral. Obama believed that there was an al-Qaeda militant in this village. They hit the village with a drone, and actually it killed 12, injured 14 at a family wedding.
Right.
So I'm not understanding this. Help me understand this. Is it somehow different when the CIA does it? When they talk about extrajudicial killings and military members, questioning these orders, what about the CIA? If the CIA is doing this at the order of the president, in this case, Obama, is it somehow different than the commander-in-chief giving these orders to the military?
Well, there is one difference. It's less transparent, right? It's more secretive. It's more nefarious. There's zero accountability there. Here, the president has been very open about his standards here. Do not bring drugs into the country. He's put the military off the coast of Venezuela. He has secured our border. He has made a formal declaration consistent with his legal powers that these drug cartels are foreign terrorist organizations. He's operating within the parameters of the law here. But what President Obama did, it was very cloudy. We only learned about it after the fact in most instances. It was far more suspect in terms of what approvals and what authorizations were given or rescinded and so forth. There was no transparency. So that's the main difference here. I mean, the president, they're making a mountain out of a molehill here with President Trump and the drug cartels. He's not hiding the ball in any way, shape, or form. With President Obama, there was zero clarity to what he was doing and trying to achieve. So
let me shift this over to the Democrats' view of ICE.
Yeah.
We don't know. The truth is, we don't know how many people crossed the border illegally under Biden. And he invented some policy, or Neera Tanden invented some policy that said if you touch the CBP One app, you are automatically, you're lawfully present and you might be an asylum seeker. Pramila Jayapal says everyone's entitled to due process, even though in 1996, Bill Clinton signed a bill into law that gave the executive branch more authority to expedite deportations. So I don't know what they're talking about here. But it seems like we have two intersecting things here. We have the drugs that are coming across the border. We have Venezuela probably propping up its government with the sale of these drugs. And then we have the gang members coming from Venezuela into the United States to set up shop. And the Democrats think you're a bigot if you want to enforce the law that's on the books.
That's right. That's right. Well, one thing that's very clear, Andrew, Democrats are very happy to embrace lawlessness when it serves their own nefarious political objectives. And we saw that with Joe Biden, with whether he used the Department of Justice to prosecute anybody who disagreed with him, whether it was a pro-life advocate, a parent at the school board, and certainly with the border. It was complete lawlessness. The president is exercising within the law. He has won numerous times at the Supreme Court. If someone hypothetically is on the Mexico side of the border and they jump across with a bag full of drugs and are immediately apprehended by the Border Patrol, they are not due a jury trial, right? They're not due a jury trial. They are due a process of efficient and expedited removal back to their home country. They have the right to be treated humanely. They have the right to be treated with the appropriate dignity and so forth, but they do not have the right to come here and demand the constitutional protections that are afforded to people who are here legally and to United States citizens. And candidly, I don't know if Representative Jay Powell or other members who are screaming this, I don't know if they could define due process. It's a very cliche argument that they make. It does not hold water, and they are essentially bolstering a nefarious political effort to import as many people into the country, regardless of the consequences thereof, and then to fight whenever someone tries to remove them. That's their whole model, and we're seeing it play out every day in Congress. We're seeing it play out in the House and the Senate, and they have refused to come off of it. And it's really harrowing to see the Democrats embrace this type of lawlessness, but we are persisting nonetheless. We're trying to get these problems that they designed fixed. I mean, it's taking a lot of work, but we're succeeding, and that's why they're losing their minds.
Do you think there's, I mean, look, it seems like what they want is to, I don't know if you're familiar with Cloward Piven, it seems like they want to overwhelm the system and leave the only option to be amnesty. So
yes.
This is something I don't understand, Congressman. Help me understand this. When did the United States become the only acceptable destination to file an asylum claim? If you are fleeing so-called poverty and violence in, that's not an asylum claim. But even if, let's say, Maduro has targeted your family for being in an opposition party and Colombia is next door, why would it become the only acceptable option to come to the United? It sounds like the Democrats have accepted this idea that the only acceptable destination to file an asylum claim is the United States, even though the UN sanctions forum shopping. I mean, does not sanction forum shopping. Excuse me.
Well, the Democrats
does sanction.
Sorry,
sanctions. You're not supposed to hop 7 different countries to file your asylum claim.
No. Well, the Democrats' immigration policy was designed by people who want to ultimately destroy and overrun the United States. Period. I mean, you look at what's happened in Minnesota, right? Look at the Somali population. They come into the United States because they are, quote, fleeing terrorism. They get here, they make themselves available to immense charity, they plug into all types of taxpayer-funded programs, and then they defraud the government to the tune of billions of dollars to fund who? Terrorists, right? That's how perverted our, quote, quote, charity has become. We have become a repository for people who disagree with our way of life, who will never assimilate into the American society, into the American culture. They will never add to this country, but we welcome them anyway. And it needs to be fixed. We must recognize that there are people who will harm this country if they are allowed to enter it, period. Whether it's cultural abnormalities or whether it is specific intent to harm America and Americans, there are literally billions of people around the world who have no business coming to the country because they will hurt this country. And the idea that this is the only place to take people from around the world, it's a lie. It's counterproductive, and it is very effective in weakening this country. And so your point is well taken.
Well, here's my question. If you can't solve the poverty you have, right? We have not solved much of it in the urban environment, homelessness and poverty. How do you fix the poverty issue by bringing in more poor people?
That's right. The metaphor extends very logically, whether you're talking about a bus or a house or an apartment complex or a city or a state or a country. If you overwhelm whatever infrastructure you have, whatever society you're talking about, whatever structure you're talking about, you will lose it. It will break down. It will not function optimally. And that's what we're seeing in many parts around the country. We do have a very real, finite amount of resources. And when you import the world's poor into the United States with $38 trillion of debt, how many Americans are being left behind? How many children are having their education cheapened? How many people are losing the right to an apartment or to a program that was designed to protect Americans because of the toll of these immigrant populations that have been brought in without any consideration to their legal status or to whether or not they will actually assist this country? It's a tremendous oversight, and I urge your listeners to really buckle down. This program is not going to be fixed overnight. It's going to take years of very focused effort. But if we can turn it around, we will reap the benefits for years to come as a country. If we do not turn it around and we continue what Biden started, what Obama started really, this country will be forever handicapped. And so this is one of the paramount issues that we as a country must solve.
What should be the consequences for Democrats, or at least these blue cities that are encouraging violence towards federal law enforcement officers who are operating legally under immigration law and federal jurisdiction?
Andrew, they're going far beyond just encouraging. They're facilitating, they're coordinating, they are assisting people who are obstructing investigations. This type of behavior, when I was prosecuting federally, if someone notified the targets of a search warrant that we were coming to their house to hide the evidence, to destroy the evidence, I would have charged them. That's an obstructive act. That's illegal. And you look at what some of these individuals have done, whether it's property crimes, whether it's getting in the way of enforcement operations, whether it's notifying folks who are illegal of law enforcement who are en route. These go well beyond the First Amendment. That's not just speech. That is obstructive behavior. And, the Department of Justice is very much looking at it. And there's, candidly, I think that they're overwhelmed because in these blue states, the citizens in blue states are being very much harmed by the effects of illegal immigration. And then you have the city governments who are obstructing the removal of illegal immigrants. So there's a lot of there are too many factors here to address in a short time, but there need to be charges. And if you obstruct a federal law enforcement action, that is an illegal act. And some of the clear examples that we see on camera every day, some of those folks need to be prosecuted.
I agree. And they should not be able to access federal funds if they're going to reject federal law enforcement. I got to leave it there and take a break. Representative Brad Knott, thanks for the time.
Andrew, thank you so much.